Hi guys. Okay, this is our second video in advanced PHP lessons. Okay, in this video we'll try to understand how composer autoloading works, and actually this has been an interview question for me as well. Many interviewers actually asked me these questions. Not many actually, but in at least 2 or 3 interviews they asked me like how composer autoloading works. Because if you have been working in PHP for like some years, you know, like so the old concept was we will use SPL autoloader. So this is how the autoloading would work. But what's changed in the composer, and what is the difference between this? So we'll just go and dive deep into the composer and see how it actually works. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and open our project. This is just a fresh laravel project. This is just doing nothing. Let's actually run this in the browser. Yeah, let's go ahead and run this project in the browser. Okay, so as we can see, like, okay, this is the Laravel homepage, but how this is being rendered in the browser. So if you go and look into this index.php, so this is what actually happens. So when actually whenever you get a request, actually request to pass through this index.php, and then here actually it does all the magic and then return the response. Actually this is the response, and then kernel actually terminate the request when response here. And this is where actually the response is thrown to the browser. Okay, so let's go ahead and start from this. This is actually just a check from the PHP. If there is a maintenance file present, then it will show the maintenance mode. Actually, we don't need that. Let's go ahead and remove this. We don't need it. We didn't need to worry about that. So this is the part from where actually PHP start. Say here it just it is just adding the time Laravel start, just for its own actually internal purposes, and also for the logs as well. But we don't need to worry about that as well. And let's check this vendor autoload.php. So this is the file that we are actually interested in. So if you see like this composer.json, actually these are a bunch of configurations, name, type, description, keyword, license required. So let's just actually look at what required. So for the deep understanding, I will highly recommend actually you use the Git composer, this documentation. But PHP Storm also actually kind of give you some degree of the documentation. If you click on this, you will get, okay, this is the hash of a package name, and okay, so required is actually a composer configuration element. So what it means is like whenever you've done the composer install, if the application is in production or staging, so it will only install these, it will at least install these packages. Required packages are always installed. So if you are in our development mode, these packages are installed. Required dev, as actually already mentioned by this dev attribute. So these are the configuration actually to tell the composer actually always whenever it is generating the autoload files, it should optimize the loader. And preferred install, distance, source, or there is another value, auto. So what it means is like if you put the distance, so it means like it will try to pull the release from the project. For example, if there is a release from the PHP 9.3.3, then it will pull the release. If there is no release, okay, so it will get the source from the GitHub and will clone it. And then sort packages, this is just nothing. Then in the extras, these are actually mostly specific to Laravel, where we can use this to auto discover some packages and don't discover some. If you don't want any packages to be discovered by the Laravel, and instead you want this to be loaded in the config app.php manually, you can do that. For example, if you want your service provider to be loaded here instead of composer or Laravel to auto discover your packages, you can just put your package here. And then there is this auto loading. This is actually what we are interested in. We don't need to worry about this for now, and this is just for auto loading for development. Probably we are using this test namespace. Okay, and that's kind of it. Okay, and these are the script that we are actually interested in. These are events in the composer post if whenever you are doing the autoload dump. So after the autoload dump, it will actually run this command. We can actually specify our own script as well, like you want to run an artisan script, or you want to run a composer script. Anything you want to run, you can run it. There is no problem with that. And the post root package install, we'll get to that as well. And then there is post create project command. Now, whenever we are actually running this composer create project any project we're creating. So we can actually use this to run, like once the project is created, we can run our own commands that as well. Actually, this is how laravel actually is installed on your computer. So whenever actually you create project, so what it will do is like it will create a project in that directory, and then once the package is cloned, then it will run this file, it will copy the environment file, then it will resolve all the dependencies, and once after that it will once the root package is installed, it will create the environment file, and it is created, it will actually generate the key. At the end, it runs the autoload dump. Once it runs the autoload dump, it actually try to auto discover the packages. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Actually, let's go ahead and create a project so that we understand the implementation of it as well. Let's go ahead and add another, so you actually can see this from your own eye. Let's go ahead and create a project here. For example, if you do composer create project laravel and test one composer test, let's try it, composer life cycle test. Okay, so now you see like it actually created the laravel project, and then it installed the root project. After it installed the root project, let's go ahead and let's look at stay here. So as we know, like once it actually created the root package, it executed this command, as you can see here. So it copied the environment file. Once environment file is created, it will continue with this operation. It will resolve all the dependencies, it will install all the dependencies. Okay, so once all the dependencies are installed, so we know like then it will run php artisan package discover, actually this command. So once all the packages are installed, actually it goes for dump autoload. So once it is doing the dump autoload, after the dump autoload, it will actually discover all the packages. Once all the packages are discovered, so these are the packages that actually have this discover module on, and once the packages are discovered, then actually it creates the key generate, and that's it. So this is how the laravel ecosystem, laravel composer lifecycle works. Actually, these are the command that are added by Taylor, so to streamline the process. Otherwise, we would have to do that manually. Okay, yeah. So let's go ahead and go to our point of interest, which is autoloading and PSR4. So essentially the autoloading is like, so we just add a namespace in our route file, and this file is being loaded from somewhere in the directory. We don't have to worry about the directory, we just need to worry about the structure that how we are writing. For example, in the app, we are writing models, and in the user PHP, like if you create an object for the user here, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and let's dump this user. Okay. So now we just did this. We are not even worried about like how this magic is happening inside the composer, inside the PHP. We just know that if our namespace is proper, it should work out of the box. Okay. So let's go ahead and see like how actually composer is resolving this dependency. So first we will start with this app, what app means and where does this come from. So if you go to composer.json and check the PSR4, so you know like these are the namespaces that we can specify. Okay, so for the app namespace to resolve, we will look in the app directory. This is the root directory from where app namespace actually starts. So this is where we can declare our own namespaces as well. For example, now you can see in the development mode, for the test directory, it will start with the test namespace. If you go ahead and open any test case, you can see like the namespace is the test. So this is our way of telling the composer that from there you can actually resolve the parent namespace or the top namespace, and then we can continue from there. Actually, we will also let's touch our PSR4 as well. So PHP Fig is in a group. I think this is framework interoperability group, which actually create a standards. These are the bunch of people, actually very talented people from a different framework gathered to create some standards, so that any component that we write for one framework can be migrated to another framework, can be used by another framework if we follow all the recommendation. So from one of the recommendation is PSR4 autoloader, which is adopted by Composer, and Composer actually fully is compliant with the PSR for autoloading. And these are the specification of the PSR for autoloading. I will definitely add the link in the description. You can actually read in your own time. There is not actually a lot in it. But one thing you have to make sure you just create your namespace, then subnamespace and class name, and there's a bunch of like every class name should end with .php, and class name cannot have special characters, and actually that's kind of it. That's the gist of it. You are probably doing everything already in your project, so you don't have to worry about that. So now let's move to the next question, next part of this question. Okay, so now we need to see like how actually composer knows that this need to load the user from this actually app models user.php, and how actually it is loading the file. As you already know, like from the PHP standpoint, we know that there are few ways to include the file in the project. One is include for example, maybe here app models and user.php, and this is kind of the old classic or old way to do it. And then there was this implementation SPL autoload register, and here we will write the function which will take a class name, and we use today, like if we need to load a class name, we'll just look into the include, or maybe we'll do require once. And what we'll do is like, okay, so we'll just give the directory from the models, and here we'll just put the class name .php, and this was the classic way to do it. So what's changed in Composer, how Composer is doing it now? So let's go ahead and see that. So for that to see, we just have to go back again in the index.php. Okay, here we know, like we can see like in almost every PHP project, like Symfony, either G or Cake PHP or Laravel, there is this line included. So if you go into this autoload.php, actually this line is actually responsible for all the autoloading to work. So if you go into the autoload.php, you will switch just this is just autoload.php in the vendor folder. If you actually check this autoload.real.php, this is also just a class, but this is where all the magic is happening, and actually this method is being called here. Let's go ahead and check this method. So in this method, it is checking if the loader is already present, like this is a static instance, then just return the loader, otherwise we'll go on to create the loader. Here, this we're just checking the PHP version and stuff here, like PHP version is this, then it's fine, otherwise just return an error. So here, let's minimize this project window, we don't need that. Okay, so in the SPL autoload register, we're just registering, okay, this is the main function that we'll use for autoloading. If you go and load class loader, and this is just creating a class loader here, and in the class loader actually there is another function, actually load.php. Let's go ahead and load class loader. Okay, so this is the main function that we actually with this function actually we're just creating a class loader. Okay, if you look at this function closely, so what this is doing is like the purpose of this is to get this class this class loader instance here. Okay, this class loader instance is being loaded into memory, so this is the only purpose of this function is. And once we just loaded the function class into memory, we'll create an object of that class, and that's it. We'll unregister the function, we don't need it anymore. So now from this point forward, we'll use this loader. Okay, so let's go ahead and dump this loader for you, and let's see what this loader is. Hopefully at this point DD should not work, but let's say yeah. So the reason the DD didn't work because not all the classes are loaded, so that's why at this point it will not work. So for that actually we can use var dump, and we'll just exit. Okay, so let's go ahead and check. Oh, so yeah, so it created a object of class loader which we'll use for the rest of our application to load all the classes. So if you have static loading enabled, so it create a map whenever you actually install any package, create a map of this this package to a hash. So these are actually the static files that we can load from this. And then there is autoload namespaces. So actually these are autoload namespaces. This is PSR0 compliant namespaces. If any actually vendor didn't move to PSR4, it will still support it. So that's it for this guy. and then psr4 namespaces. So it keeps a track of all the namespaces that we have in our application, and it actually takes it from mostly from the composer file of all the packages, and then keeps namespace to the mapping directory, keeps a map of this this namespace to the directory where the actual source code resides. And lastly, lastly, the Autoload class name. Actually, this contains all the classes that are being used in the PHP project. So it creates a map of that as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So last thing, that how it actually loads once we actually include a file. So let's go ahead. For that, actually we need to check the class loader here. If we go to class loader here, and then I think there is this method that is being called here. This is the load class method is actually being called whenever actually we load any class. Let's go ahead and check this theory as well. So if you go here, and we'll just make sure if the class is user class, and so dump our function here. So let's go ahead and refresh this. So now we know like the flow is here. Sorry, here it is. So let's go ahead and see like what this find file function is. So find file function actually just find the file from its own maps that it has. So from this find file, it will actually find the real path of the file in the project. So let's go ahead and dump this as well. Okay, here we'll just put if class is user class, only then we want this dump to work. Okay, let's go ahead and refresh that. Okay, now you can see like, okay, it knows, okay, from the class name, it knows like this user class actually corresponds to this file in the system, and at the end it will just do the include file. Let's go ahead and click on include file. So include file is actually just using the old legacy include, and this is including the file. So yeah, this is the way that Composer actually works. There is no magic. This is just a fancy way, or maybe like an easier way to load the PHP files. These bunch of very smart people actually created this recommendation, and then these are the people actually. You can see like these are the inventor of Cake PHP, and one of this guy actually wrote the Composer implementation of this. And now almost all the PHP frameworks are using Composer to manage their dependencies. And I think that's it. So now if anyone asks you like how Composer works, at least you know like so it is still using SPL, kind of at the end of the like the bottom line, it is still using the include file, but the Composer is a wrapper, actually a very smart wrapper. So it keeps track of all the classes, all the namespaces, and all the static files, and also all the helpers files. And whenever you need it, it will just load these files into memory. And with the help of Composer, we are actually able to keep our structures very streamlined and very beautiful. So now we can write like app HTTP controllers, and it will correspond to a path. We know like this is very easier to read and very easier to remember. So we know app HTTP controller means there is a folder in app and HTTP controllers, and then there is a control file. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know if you have more questions or comment. I will try to answer that. See you in the next video. Bye bye.